Welcome to Keep It Pro Training Call, brought to you by Networking Wisdom, featuring Romacio Fulcher. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Monique, and I'm introducing Romacio, the creator of Networking Wisdom, and the reason for this call each Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific for over 4 years. On this call, you will learn the skills to become successful in network marketing and in life. Romacio Fulcher is a well-respected international leader, coach, trainer, and a much-sought-after mentor. He is highly successful as an entrepreneur with over 750,000 people globally in his network, and he has accomplished over $1 billion in sales. Romacio enjoys having fun and sharing his wisdom worldwide. He is a millionaire mentor, a coach of coaches, and a leader of leaders. As a top leader, he's also a top earner and a top 50 worldwide earner in MLM. At the tender age of just 25 years young, Romacio earned his first $1 million. He's now a multimillionaire and has helped countless individuals. This man knows how to make money, and he knows how to make money fast. What we all like most about him is his love for God and mankind. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to introduce to some and present to others our friend, the California Kid, the Marketplace Minister, Mr. Romacio A. Fulcher. Romacio, have you joined us?
Absolutely. I am here. Can you hear me, Monique?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for, once again, as always, the infamous introduction. We love you, we appreciate you, and we salute you. Listen, I want to welcome each and every single one of you back to another edition. 4 years and running, baby. 2021, that's right, 2021. We have already won 4 years. We've been doing this call, and I tell you, I want to first of all say thank you to this past week. I've received several messages once again, and it just amazes me, and it really blesses me to receive messages from many of you. I don't even know your name. You live in another country. It just reaffirms to me that I am being obedient to what God told me to do 4 years ago. Woo! Now, listen, if this is your first time joining us, I want to encourage you, come back again, spread the word, let all your friends know. We've been doing this 4 years. It's Networking Wisdom. You're going to receive pearls of wisdom on this call, and it's for anyone that has an entrepreneurial bone in their body. We teach you two specific things week in and week out. Number one, we teach you the specific skills that you need to get yourself to the top of whatever company that you are promoting, regardless if it's a product or a service. We will teach you the specific skills. Somebody underline the word specific. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Specific skills, right? But number two, we also teach you life skills, because what you're going to find as you grow anything, come on now, boy, say it again. As you grow anything, as you grow, everything else around you will automatically grow. Once again, as you grow, okay, as you grow, everything else around you will grow. If you're looking to grow your finances, it's all reflective of you. If you're looking to grow a deeper relationship with your family or your loved ones, it's all reflective of you. If you're looking to be more impactful in your community, perhaps in your business, on your job, it's all reflective of you. Are you getting what I'm saying? Everything reflects you. So that's why we teach the specific skills for you to grow your business, but we also teach you life skills. They go hand in hand. And this week's topic, guys, I got to tell you, man, listen, Linda. I did not want to teach this. Woo! Yesterday at 3:14 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm sitting at the stoplight, and I'm saying, God, what is it that you want me to teach on? What is it that you want me to teach on? What is it that you want me to teach on? And he said, obedience. I said, oh, no, not that. What else? No, not that one, Lord. Give me something else. Give me something else. That can't be it. That can't be it. No. And I'm telling you, I fought, I wrestled God. I said, no. Come on. Download something else in my spirit. Give me another topic. Not this one. I don't want to teach this one. No, please don't make me teach this. And literally I waited, 10, 15 minutes, and I said, okay, over the next 10 minutes, 10 seconds, Lord, drop something else in my spirit, and whatever that is, that's what I'm going to do. And boom, he dropped it in again, obedience. And I said, oh, gosh, man, please. And so if you looked at my post, ladies and gentlemen, that's why it said this is a tough conversation, but we've got to have it. And so when this was brought to my spirit yesterday, and I said, yes, I will go ahead and teach this topic. I said, Holy Spirit, you're going to have to guide me, because this is a tough topic. This is just and I'll be honest with you, the person I'm really talking to on this topic of obedience is myself. Did you hear me? Are you taking any notes? The person I'm really talking to on this specific topic is truly myself. Now, obviously, it takes a bold man, a courageous person, to get on the phone and talk to himself. Yes, it does. But I know that I'm being obedient, and I know that I'm going to be blessed because of it. I just know I am, but I want to be honest and tell you this is a very hard, can you hear it in my voice, baby? Very hard topic for me to talk about. I'm reminded of a friend of mine. Some of you that are from the Sacramento area, you may remember this guy. He used to be a radio disc jockey. His name was Davey D on 102.5, a local radio station here in Sacramento. And I remember he and I going to lunch years ago, many years ago, and I'll never forget. He said to me, Romacio, I don't understand, why is it so hard for me? Why is it so hard for me to do the easy things in life? But why is it so easy for me to do the hard things? And he said to me, I just don't understand why, it's so hard to do the easy thing. Why do I tell you that story? The purpose of that story is, see, for some of you, being obedient is very easy for you to do. I think of my mother. She's such a compliant soul, she is. Whatever the rule is, that she's going to follow the rule. That's who she is. The speed limit is 55. She does 54. You know what I mean? She's just a rule follower. And I love my mother, and I love people like that. I love them. And, they just follow the rules. They pledge allegiance to the flag, and, they follow all the rules. They're rule followers. And so obedience is something, in my opinion, notice what I said, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, it's something that for some people it comes very easy. It's just a part of their nature. All right, you told me to eat one French fry, I won't even dare think about eating two, right? So obedience is something that some people, it comes very easy, and others of us, it can be tough. It can. I'm reminded of me as a child. Oh man, I got more spankings than Carter made peanuts. I'm telling you, I'm talking my butt. It can withstand almost any blow. I'm telling you, you can hit my butt as hard as you want. I can't feel nothing. I'm still numb. My butt is still numb from my childhood years of all the spankings that I got for being disobedient. Okay, so I'm just telling you guys that. I'm just trying to preface this conversation that we're getting ready to have, because it's a tough one. It's a tough one, at least for me it is, and I promise you that the Spirit is going to lead me as we do this call, and I promise you will have some very insightful takeaways. I'm not coming at you today with a condemning spirit. I don't, me. If you know anything about me, if this is your first time or if you followed me before, I'm not the person that condemns people. That's not my style. In fact, I don't listen to people that tend to communicate in a condemning way. And I'm gonna be honest with you. The reason why I don't listen to those type of people is because that's not Jesus. That's not the Spirit of God. That is not the Spirit of God. God talks about that all men, that includes you, all men and all women, we all will fall short of his glory, okay? So I want you to understand that we all make mistakes. I'll probably make the most of them, right? That's why I'm super thankful for God's grace and God's mercy. And for those of you that don't know what that's about, every day the Bible teaches us that God gives us new grace and new mercy on a daily basis. And boy, do I need it. I need it every day. I thank God for his grace and his mercy. And frankly, you should too, okay? You really should. There's only one person that is perfect to ever walk this land. His name is Jesus Christ, all right? So, again, as we get ready to dive into this message, I want you to know that I am not here to condemn anybody. You're not going to hear things like, if you don't do it, God's going to strike you down and kill you. You're never going to hear me say that, because I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But, somebody underline the word B-U-T, but I do believe that there are benefits. Woo! There are benefits to being obedient. Ooh, come on, man. I'm talking to myself. Somebody pray right now. I need your prayers right now. Where are all my prayer warriors at? Send a prayer for me. I need it right now. We in some deep waters right now. I'm in some deep waters right here. All right? So I do believe that there are benefits. It is true. Okay? Now, don't you dare fall off the cliff and say, so what are you saying? Are you saying if I don't do what I heard God tell me to do, that I won't get that thing that I want, and I won't be successful, and I won't get the man of my dreams? And what are you saying, Romacio? I'm not saying that. My name is not God. I'm just a messenger. So if you're going to get mad at anybody, don't get mad at me. God told me to do this. I didn't want to talk about this. This is not what I wanted to train on today. I did not. You hear me? I did not want to talk about this. I didn't. But it is relevant, and it's so important. And I want to kind of really take this message and really point it towards those of you that have some big goals in your life. Come on, boy. Now we're traveling. There we go. I'm talking about, there you are. You are a young lady. You are waiting for Prince Charming to come and sweep you off your feet. There you are. You are a woman waiting on a child. There you are. You are an entrepreneur waiting on your next promotion financially. There you are waiting on more income. We all are waiting on something. But I want to slant or point this call towards those of you that have got some big ambitions. Now, I'm not going to define your ambition, but I know we all want something. And I want to talk to you today about obedience and how this ties into it. I don't know everything about God. You hear me? I do not know everything. In fact, if you ever hear someone that tries to tell you or talk as if they know everything about God, hang up the phone. God is not human. You cannot fully explain God. You can't. He is God all by himself. His ways, his thoughts are far higher than you and I and everybody you know put together. So don't you dare try to fully comprehend exactly what God's going to do next. You don't know it, and I don't know it, okay? So now that we got that out the way, we got that understood, I want you to understand that I'm going to talk to you about my relationship with God and what I have experienced. I'm 43 years young, okay, got a long road to climb, but I'm going to talk to you from the little that I know in hopes of this can help you, as it surely will help me, okay? Now, so I want you to understand that, first of all, when God created all of us, he gave you a purpose. One of the things I'm most excited about God is how cool he is. I think he's really cool because he's not a slave driver. Ooh, write that down. God is not a slave driver. That's not how he operates, okay? He doesn't operate through fear. So he doesn't say, hey, man, if you don't do this, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to take your next meal away from you. That is not how God operates. I know that factually, okay? So he's not a slave driver. When God set this whole thing up, he created something called free will. And I love that about him because he's not going to beat it into you. He's not going to beat salvation into you. He wants you to invite him into your life. He wants you to say, come on in, Father, come on in. That's what he wants. But he won't force you. Now, listen, if you're taking notes, write this down. Free will. God has given us a spirit of free will. And that's very, very important. That we want to start there. Okay? So we have to choose him. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's no different than you choosing a healthy meal versus a non-healthy meal. There are benefits to choosing the healthier one. It doesn't mean you're going to die if you eat French fries. Doesn't mean that, no. But it does mean there are some benefits to choosing the healthier meal, okay? So, first thing is I want you to understand free will. We all have free will. And I really, really like that about God, that we have the ability to choose. That's super important. That's super important for you to write that down and understand that. Now, once you have decided, well, let's go to point number 2. Point number 2 is purpose. God has given each of us a purpose. When he created you, whether you knew it or not, God has given you a purpose. And I'm sure by now many of you have heard that your purpose in this lifetime is to discover what is your purpose. You know, you hear people say things like there's only 2 things that are really important in this lifetime: the day that you were born and the day that you discover why you were born. Okay? Write that down. Listen, I don't care what your race is, what your gender is, Democrat, Republican, Independent. I don't care. Write it down, okay? All right? You, whoever you are that are listening to me, wherever you are in the world, okay, I'm talking to you. You have a purpose. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care how horrible you grew up. I don't care if you live in a developing country. I don't care who you are. What I know about God, we ain't talking about your mama. We're not talking about your daddy. We're talking about God, okay? I know he gave you a purpose. Listen to me now. I know that sometimes life can be very difficult. Life is not fair, okay? It doesn't say anywhere in the Bible that God is fair. He never said that, okay? That's another fact. What it says is God is just, J-U-S-T. He's just. He's not fair, okay? So you might have grew up over there and I grew up over here, et cetera, and you might think it was, it was fair where I grew up and unfair where you. God never said he was fair, okay? But the point we're making, ladies and gentlemen, is that you do have a purpose, and you have got to discover what your purpose is. Now, many of you are probably sitting there thinking, what in the world does purpose have to do with obedience? Don't worry. Stay with me, Stay with me, young man. I'm going to tie this thing together for you. Don't worry. Trust me. We going somewhere in this boat. We flying across the water today, okay? So, number 1, we talked about free will. Number 2, we talked about purpose. All right? Now, let's pause right here. As we're talking about purpose, again, I said it moments ago, I want to point this call towards those of you that have some big ambition. I mean, those of you that have finally discovered who you are and what you have been called to do in this lifetime. Okay, let me say that again. That is a lot to swallow. Those of you that know who you are, and I don't mean your first name, but you know what your purpose is in life. For example, Romacio Aaron Fulcher. I am a marketplace minister. That is who I am. Okay? All right? I'm 43. That's my job. Okay? I know what it means every time I say marketplace minister. I know what that means. No, I'm not at this time, I'm not called to be in the pulpit at a church. No, I have nothing against that. That's not me. Okay? This is me. Okay? Look, I wanted to be a basketball player. I used to kind of want to be a rapper long ago when I was a kid. I wanted to be this, wanted to be that. That's not for me. There's nothing against it. I love those guys, but I am a marketplace marketplace minister. Period. Part of my purpose is to bring the light wherever I go. Period. Period, end of story. Now, do I have other things that I'm good at? Of course. But when we start looking at it from a macro, not a micro, but a macro point of view, my purpose, marketplace minister, to do things to uplift God's kingdom in a financial way. And look, I don't want to get into all that, but the bottom line is I know my purpose. Very clear I'm crystal clear on what my purpose is. Now, I have a very large purpose, very large. You have a purpose. You do. And when you uncover what your purpose is, and just because my purpose is a marketplace minister and yours may be, encouraging people, don't you dare compare your purpose to my purpose. Your purpose is just as important as mine. Okay? I was just giving you an example of my purpose. But we are not to compare each other's purpose because your purpose is just as significant. Just as significant. Let me give you an example. My grandfather, he's no longer with us, but he was a garbage man. Now, that was his job description, and some people, probably look down upon a garbage man. But listen to me here. If my grandfather did not come by to pick up your trash, you would have trash all around your house. Can you imagine trash being built up for weeks and months at a time? You better be thankful that my granddaddy followed his purpose at that time, which was to take out your trash, okay? So again, everybody plays a role in the victory. You hear me? Everybody plays a role in the victory, all right? So everybody has a purpose, okay? Now, where does obedience tie into this thing? Well, when you have and you know your purpose and you know that God has given you something very significant, He's given you something very significant to do, and you know it's something that you just can't do it by yourself. In fact, Scripture tells us it's by the renewing of your mind, okay? So whatever God has given you, and let me tell you what I know about God. God doesn't do anything small. Write that down. Matter of fact, you need to create a meme out of that. God does not do anything small. This is a fact, ladies and gentlemen, okay? When they turned water into wine, you remember that story in the Bible? When Jesus turned water into wine, right? They did a research on that. Do you know that they said the value of that wine is $287 million right now and today? Okay? God doesn't do anything small. You got to write this down. This is God we're talking about. So whatever purpose you have, I can tell you it's significant. And I can also tell you, in my opinion, for your purpose to come to its fullest potential, I'm reminded of Les Brown. Les Brown always says the wealthiest place in the world is the graveyard, because at the graveyard there is so much purpose that never got a chance to take flight. There's so many ideas and so much that just it never got a chance to come to its full maturity. So what we're saying is, point one is to make sure you know your purpose. Point two, submit to God and say, God, I need your help to find the woman of my dreams, to find the man of my dreams. I need your help, to get this new promotion on this job. I need your help. I can't do it without you. I just can't. And it does take you to humble yourself and to come before the throne of grace and mercy and say, I need you. Oh, let me tell you about being self-righteous. You think you don't need God? You better think again. I love how my mother says it. She says, listen, if God was to stop being God, everything would decompose. Now, that's heavy. If he were to stop being who he is, woo! What do you mean, Romacio? Well, let me tell you what I mean. You do realize it is God that hung the moon, that hung the sun. We're talking about over 200 miles away, over 200 million miles away in the air. It suspends. The sun doesn't sit on a shelf. There is no cord that holds it up. There is no batteries that's in the sun. He spoke to it, and there it is. It just sits there. And it rises and sets the same time every day. It don't need no reminder. If God were to stop being who he is, everything would stop. It would decompose. So I think you better think again and realize you do need God. You do need God. You know, I love how on the dollar bill we love to write the word "in God we trust." So don't get all funny when somebody starts telling you that God is more than just a piece of paper, "in God we trust." You need God like you need your next breath. And I really mean that. And that's why I go back to that grace and mercy speech. Because, man, I'm so thankful for his grace and his mercy. I just really am. Okay? So you want to make sure that you ask God to either reveal your purpose to you if you don't know. If you don't know your purpose, all you have to do is ask him. What is my purpose? You know, we've done a training call before about purpose. It's not difficult. It's not complicated. It ain't like, oh, my God, I got to go sit in the corner for 30 years to figure out my purpose. No, you don't. 5 minutes, I can show you how to find your purpose. Okay? It's not that difficult, okay? You are God's child, whether you like it or not, and he gave you a purpose, and that's factual. That's it, okay? So now, once you know your purpose, you need to go before him and you say, God, I need your help. I just can't do this without you. I can't do it. I try. I'm not a perfect person, right? I need your help. I can't do this alone, man. I just can't do it. And God sits there and says, listen, I know you can't do it by yourself. I know you can't. I know you can't. That's why Jesus died. So that is our Redeemer. That is our Savior. That is why. Okay? So God knows you can't do it by yourself. Therefore, you got to humble yourself and come before God and ask him for help. And it's right there. Woo! This is when the call really begins. When you begin to ask God for help to basically manifest the promise that he gave to you. Now, what do I mean when I talk about a promise? Let's just put it to you this way. According to Scripture, you and I, we can have whatever we want as long as we ask according to God's will. So in other words, you can't ask God for Susie's husband. If that ain't your husband, stop praying for God to give you somebody else's man. That's not going to happen, okay? That's not God's will, okay? Okay? If you stop praying, asking God, hey, man, send me some cocaine so I can smoke some cocaine. No, that's not God's will, okay? So that's not happening, okay? That's your will. That's not God's will. But you can have anything you want according to God's will. So the answer is already yes. He's already said yes. It's a promise, right? Okay? So abundance, prosperity, health, wealth, all that's a promise, right? Okay? So God already said, yes, child, you can have all that. All right? And that's nice knowing that you can have it, but what you and I want, we want to manifest it, right? You want it in your hand. You want it in your life right now. Isn't that what you want? Yes, that's what I want. Yeah. That's it. That's what I want. All right. So now to manifest those things, this is where I want to talk to you about obedience. Now, again, let's go slow here. I'm not saying that if you don't do blah, 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 you won't get what you want. I am not saying that. Please underline that in your paperwork. Write that down. I'm not saying if you don't do it, you ain't going to get it. I'm not saying that. And the reason why I'm not saying that, because in the Bible, it does say God will reign on the just and the unjust. And all that simply means Sometimes you ever see people succeeding who you think that they're bad people, but they're still succeeding? Well, again, remember I told you God's thoughts is higher than my thoughts and higher than your thoughts, right? God says he will reign. That means he will bless the just and the unjust. So it's none of your business what God is doing with Sally. It's none of your business why Tom is getting so blessed. That's none of your business. As my grandmother say, mind your own business, right? Mind your own business. And so what I'm telling you is that you do need God, number one. But when you ask God for his help, this is where obedience comes into play. The Bible talks about that obedience is better than sacrifice. And what does that really mean? Well, I think we all are adults, and I believe that all of you know what the word sacrifice means. In other words, my understanding of it is that if we would just be obedient, maybe we wouldn't have to endure that sacrifice that you had to make. Now, you know what sacrifice means. You know what a sacrifice is. You know what sacrifice means. And what the scripture tells us, obedience, write that down. Come on, write it. Obedience is better than sacrifice. So in other words, if I were to say it in everyday English language, if you just would have listened to what I told you to do, says God, you wouldn't have to go through all that. Woo! That's the part that hurts. Oh, that hurt me. That hurt me. Lord, you hurt me right there. You hurt me. That hurt. Woo! I mean, you know, you remember when you was a kid, you know, and your parents told you not to do something, whatever it was, and you went out and did it anyway, and next thing you know, you hurt yourself or something bad happened, and your parents said, see, I told you not to do that. So if you would have been obedient, you wouldn't have had to go through the sacrifice of whatever the punishment was, okay? So that's what it means. Now, again, hear me well. For all you people that are listening to me and you rule followers out there, you think, oh, my God, he must not be talking to me because I always get it right. No, you don't. No, you don't. I'm talking to you. Yes, you. I know you spend your whole life thinking you perfect and you got this right. You don't make mistakes. No, you don't. You make mistakes, okay? Yes, you. I'm talking to you. But don't just think that I'm talking to, you know, the Romacios out there and the people that make mistakes and they admit that they make. I'm talking to you. So anybody that's got a self-righteous spirit and you like to condemn and judge folks and, well, look at her and look at him. No, grab a mirror and look at yourself. Look at yourself. Because God talks about that. He really talks about that self-righteous spirit. And you think just because, you know, that you this and you that and blah, 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 blah. No. You just as dirty as all of them. Okay? All of us have sinned. All of us make mistakes. And all of us need his grace and his mercy. And that's a fact, okay? So we settled that, all right? All right, now, back to us talking about obedience. I told you earlier that there are benefits. There are. And we could really talk about this for hours, but we're not, because I want to keep this simple. I told you God has given you a purpose. But remember we talked about free will. Even though God has given you a purpose, but we talked about free will earlier, you have to understand that even though God has given you a purpose, God does not control you. This is powerful right here. He put something deep inside of you that the moment you begin to align with the principles of his word, you will notice that everything will begin to line up, and you will begin to really make some serious progress in life. You will see serious transformation. What I'm trying to say to you is that, yes, you do have a purpose. But in order for your purpose to really come to its full maturity, In order for that to happen, you're going to need God's help. And in receiving God's help, what God needs back from you, he needs your obedience. I'm going to say that again. It's very powerful. You do have a purpose. In order for you to come to your full maturity in whatever it is, you're going to need God's help. But as God gives you the answers to whatever your challenge is, whatever you're trying to figure out, as he provides the answers to you, what he needs from you is your obedience. And I want you to write this down. Your obedience is a form of you trusting God. Your obedience is saying to God that I trust you. I'm trusting you. Now, this is what I really like right here. And I'm going to keep it simple. When I look at the scripture and I look at Noah, we all have heard of Noah, who built Noah's Ark. And if you don't know, had it not been for Noah, there would be no you and I. We wouldn't have the world we have today. So you better give Noah some love, some serious love. But Noah was obedient. God told him to go build an ark. Noah had never heard of rain, didn't know nothing about no rain. It had never rained back then before. It took him many, many years to build the ark. But Noah was obedient. Okay, this is powerful. And because of his obedience, this is why you and I have what we have today. Because of Noah's obedience. Okay? Let's look at another person. We can look at Moses, and we can look at Moses' obedience. We can look at Abraham and his obedience. You remember Father Abraham, right? Had many sons, right? Father Abraham. Abraham, his job was to make sure all males were circumcised. He was obedient. Come on, somebody take some notes on this. And because of his obedience, all of us, all the blessings and promises that I just talked about earlier, we get to have all that stuff because of Abraham's obedience. Come on, man. I learned a few things in my 43 years. All because of Abraham. All right? Then let's talk about another one. Another prophet. We can talk about Joshua. Oh, I'm really feeling Joshua these days. I'm really feeling Joshua. Joshua was another one that was obedient. Never lost a battle. Never, ever lost a fight. Because he was obedient to what God told him to do. Okay, now listen. Let me say this. I talked about the good part of Noah. I talked about the good part of Abraham. By the way, this is my favorite part of the call. I talked about the good part of Abraham. I talked about the good part of Noah. I talked about the good part of Joshua, right? So the way that I'm telling the story, it almost seemed like, oh, these guys were obedient and God blessed them and did all these wonderful things for them. This is true. But let me tell you the part I like. Noah, he was obedient, but let me tell you what else he was. He was a drunk. Abraham did get blessed, but he had issues too. Come on, boy. Joshua was awesome. He was incredible. He did get blessed, but he had issues too. See, that's the part I like about the story, because I make mistakes all the time. I'm always saying, Lord, thank you for your grace. Thank you for your mercy. Man, thank you. And see, sometimes the enemy likes to make you think that because you're not like your mama, well, your mama always gets it right, it tries to make you think, well, you ain't going to never get to where you're trying to go. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. That's not true at all. So back to what I'm saying. I gave you three people, Noah, Joshua, and Abraham. And we illuminated their obedience, okay? And if you want to do a little homework, I want you to look up Noah, look up Joshua, look up Abraham. Do just a little quick Google research. That way you can figure this out, okay? And you can see how relevant they are, okay? They're very important. Now, The reason why obedience is important to God, because the way that God operates, from what I understand, God operates based on something called a covenant. That's why God says, listen, God ain't tripping on what your name is. I'm not saying God don't care about your name, but your mama and your daddy gave you that name. That's the name that your parents gave you. Well, God created this whole world and created you and I long before your mama and daddy was ever here. So God's rules, the way that he governs, is he governs based off covenant. And what does covenant really mean? What is a covenant? Well, basically, it's kind of like the old school way of saying, if you do this, I'll do that. Woo! There it is. There it is. There it is, baby. You wanted the climax of the call? There it is. If you do this, I'll do that. And that's where the word free will ties back in again. If you use your free will to do what I have instructed you to do, and I know that you may not want to do that thing, such as circumcising all the boys, such as, building a boat when you don't even understand what an ark is. I know you don't want to do these things. But if you will trust me, another one I'm thinking of is Job. Look, I could talk for hours about this, but I don't want to do that. Okay? But if you will trust me, even though I know you didn't want to do that, I will go ahead and bring that thing to pass that you want. And let me say it again, because this is the climax of the whole entire call. God really is about covenant. Covenant, covenant, covenant. Learn, what does the word covenant mean? You got to get off this phone and you got to do some research right now, and you got to understand, what does the word covenant mean? Because that is God's language. Because Noah he was obedient, he did what God asked him to do, God made him a promise. He said never again, no matter how mad he gets at mankind, because you got to understand, most of you don't know this. Long ago, God got so mad at mankind because of all the bad that we were doing, that God sent a major catastrophe and wiped out every single human being, every single living thing. He killed it all. That's right. That's fact. That's fact. He killed it all. But because of Noah's obedience, and Noah did what he was obedient. Somebody better be listening today. Noah did it. And I'm talking about Noah the drunk, baby. Come on. I get excited about it. Yeah, I'm talking about the drunk man. That's right. Noah the drunk. I hope you're listening. He was a drunk. What does that mean? Why do I keep emphasizing that? Because you got some issues in you. Yes, you do. But you also got some purpose in you too. You got some issues in you. I got some issues in me. But you got some purpose in you. And the moment you say, all right, Father, you know I got this issue, but I'm still going to say yes to your purpose that you gave me, and I'm still going to go forward. Like Jesus said, I'm going to pick up my cross and walk. What does that mean? Do you even understand what, a lot of y'all love to wear the little crosses on your neck, and, you wear the little necklaces with a cross. And most of us don't even know what the heck we're wearing. We think it's just a sign of cool looking jewelry. When the truth is, do you know what that cross symbolizes? It symbolizes pick up your cross and walk. That's what Jesus said. What does that mean? It means pick up your issues, your dirty, stinking issues. I know you got that issue. I know, like David E. said, why is it so hard for me, Lord, but so easy for them? Hey, pick that issue up and let's get to walking. So, what I'm saying to you is this. Obedience comes into play because we're talking about covenant. God is all about covenant. This is the last thing I'm going to say, and it's the most powerful thing I'm going to say on this call. God cannot use you if God cannot trust you. Woo! Boom, there it is. He can't use you. And then why do we talk about you being used? Because in order for you to manifest whatever it is that you're wanting, God needs a vessel. He needs a human being to work through, okay? But he's got to know that he can trust you. Now, trust doesn't mean you have to be perfect, because you never will. But you've got to humble yourself. You've got to humble yourself. You've got to be a work in progress. Oh, Father, help me. I need help again. Oh, Father, I still need help. Father, I need your help. And it's not just opening your mouth saying I need. You're going to have to put some, as Grandpa would say, some elbow grease in. What does that mean? You're going to have to put some work into that thing. You're going to have to show God, hey, look here, man, I'm willing to put some work towards that thing. My faith is not just my lip service. My faith is also my works, because we all know faith without works is dead. So I'm going to put some effort in towards my cross. Whatever your cross is, whatever your issue is, I understand my purpose, but I'm going to put some effort into that thing. I'm going to really try, Father, to really, with your help, make some progress, okay? How am I going to do that? You told me in your word that I need to meditate on your word day and night. I'm going to tell you, Romacio Fulcher, I do not do that every night. I don't. Okay? I make mistakes. I don't do it every night. But I sure, all right, let me get back on it again. Let me try it again. Let me keep trying. So work in progress. As you would say, it's an ebb and a flow, right? It's ebbing and flowing, right? But my point in saying that to you, God can't use you if he can't trust you. So where the word obedience, covenant, and trust, they all collide. Let's do it like this here. Obedience, well, let's go covenant, first word. So covenant would be the first word. Obedience, trust, and manifestation, those words collide. Write that down. Obedience, trust, covenant, manifestation, those words go together. Wait, let me get the order right. Let me say the order the right way. Covenant, okay, understand what a covenant is, right? And once you understand what a covenant is, all right, then you got to be obedient, okay? And while you're being obedient, that's a form of you trusting. Okay, so trust is number 3. And then number 4 would be manifestation. That is why those words go together. God is all about covenants. That's what he's about. And he's got to know that he can trust you to bring to pass the purpose he put inside you. He's got to know that. Now, I want to end with this. So, and this right here gets me excited again. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for dropping this in my spirit as we end this call. I want to talk about Paul to Saul. Okay? Long story short, in the Bible, there was a gentleman by the name of Saul that changed it, Saul to Paul. I'm going to give you the short version. This man was a killer. That's what he was. He literally he would go out there and he would kill Christians. That was his job. Literally. I'm talking about literally bring them to death. He would kill them. I'm talking about a lot of them. He loved doing his job. Okay? And long story short, one day he found Jesus. He found God. And he then became Paul. And as we know it, if you look in the Bible, he's responsible for writing many chapters in the Bible, many books of the Bible. And the purpose of the illustrated part of the story that I'm illuminating is that he used to be a killer of Christians. That's what he used to do. Hear me? You write that down. He used to be a killer of Christians. That's what he used to do. But by the time God got done with him, he became the biggest recruiter of Christians. So wait a minute. Why am I telling you that story at the last part of the call? Because I want to really shine the light on someone that was killing people for a living. This is what he was doing. But once God got a hold of him and began to work on him and work on his mind, now mind you, God can't get a hold of you unless you say yes. So Saul had to say yes to God. He had to say, yes, I want to know you. Yes, I want to try and follow you. He had to say, that's the free will part. He had to say yes. And when he said yes and he started hooking up with God and learning God's principles, and God began to renew his mind, right? He then became a different person. Now watch this. Here's the best part. The same energy, oh, there it is, the same energy that he was using to kill people, God, he said, no. I don't want you to lose that spirit. Keep that spirit. I gave you that spirit. But what we're going to do, we're going to take that spirit that you used to use to kill people, we're going to take that same spirit, and we're going to use that for good. We're going to use that to recruit people. And he became the largest recruiter. What's the point? The point is, God can take something that you thought was nasty, horrible, no good, broken, everybody hated you, nobody liked you. He can use that very same part of you, and that can be the biggest ministry that will actually win more souls to Christ, help more people, do more good in the world than anybody ever thought. That's how good God is. I can't do that for you, but God can. Your mama can't do that for you, but God can. That's why I said again, you've got to ask God to show you your purpose, and then you've got to ask God, look, I need your help, man. I need your help. And God is going to say yes. He will help you. He'll always help you. But you also got to do some work. And the work that you've got to do is, with God's help, you've got to begin to make some new choices. And that's the hard part. That's the hard part. That's the part that brings this call obedience. That's the part that's tough. That's the tough part. Because now, to be obedient, some of the things that you may be asked to do, I'm being honest with you, this is me, the California kid, I'm telling you, they may not be what you want to do. And that's the hard part. Because people like you and I, human beings with free will, we're so caught up in doing what we want to do. And a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times what we want to do is not necessarily the best thing for us to do, but we don't know that. You know, I heard a wise woman, my mother, she said, you know, a lot of times people do all of this talking and talk, but really the best teacher of all is experience. And many times we don't have any experience in that dream that we're dreaming about, that desire that we really want, whatever that is. We don't have any experience. So how do we know what it's really going to take to sustain, write that down, to sustain the very thing we're dreaming about, the very thing that we're hoping for? How do we know what it takes to sustain something when you've never had it before? See, God knows. God's got experience. And that's why we've got to learn together, you and I, we've got to learn to trust him. And how do we show that we are trusting him? Through our obedience. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. Put a ribbon on that. Let's call that Happy Valentine's Day, huh? Let's call that Happy Valentine's Day. Listen, I did the very best I can. Thank you, Father, for coming through me, helping serve this thing up in a way that is palatable to all people listening across the world. Again, I meant no harm whatsoever. I tried my very best today to really take a tough topic and serve it up in a seven-course cuisine in a way that's palatable and received by all people. Now, what I need from you is this. Before we end, every single one of you that's listening, whether you're listening live or listening to the replay, I want two things from you. Number one, I want you to pick 5 people. We're going to put this recording up in 45 minutes. It'll be posted on my YouTube channel. It'll be posted on my Facebook page. But I want you to pick 5 people, I don't care who they are, and I want you to kindly send this message to them. This is an on-time message. This is a huge message. This is a right now message for a lot of people. A lot of people right now need to hear that something as small as obedience has everything to do with the huge manifestation that they're waiting on. Something God will put inside you to ask you to do that may not have anything to do with the thing that you're dreaming for, or it may, you never know. But God's going to show you, if you do this, I'll do that. Ooh, man, that's just tough to know, isn't it? Yes, it is. But this is going to be a huge call for a lot of people. So I want you to pick 5 people, and I want you to send this call to them. 5 people. Will you do that for me? Whoever you are, wherever you are, something I'm asking of you, will you do that for me? This call has blessed you. We're not asking for anything from you. We don't take offering. We don't do any of that stuff. You know what I'm asking. All I want from you, I don't want no fanfare. You don't need to send me no love letters, nothing like that. I just want you to help me as I'm trying to be obedient and do what I was asked to do. Will you help me? Will you help me? I just want you to send this call to 5 people. That's it. Okay? That's number 1. And then number 2, the second thing I'm asking everybody to do, let's go into a 7-day. Let's take 7 days, and there's nobody looking over your shoulder. It's just you and God. And let's just take 7 days, and let's try together to be as obedient as we can. Now, how does this work? All you do is you sit there and say, God, what is it that you want me to do? What is it that you would like me to do? And all you got to do is just get still, be still, listen, and he'll tell you. And you know what? Just to give you something that will help you, years ago, I did this before for myself. And I remember, I'll never forget, I was in a hotel room in Florida, and God said, stand up. Okay, now sit down. Stand back up. I mean, I know you laughing, but literally I said, God, I need you to teach me. I don't know how to hear your voice and be obedient. So he began to teach me, very similar to a dog. I'm just telling you. Look, I'm not trying to laugh or make you laugh. I'm telling you the truth. And turn right, okay? All right? And I remember being in my hotel room by myself. I said, okay. He told me to do this, I did it. And I said, okay, can I go to bed? He said, yeah, you can go to bed now. I had to learn, just like a child. I had to learn, how do I hear your voice, and how do I be obedient towards your voice? So what I want to do over the next 7 days, how about we do it? Let's do this together. Those of you that are listening all around the world, wherever you are, let's just take 7 days. 7 days, that's it. 7 days, and let's start the process. Let's start the process of trying to be obedient together. And let me tell you something. You talking about you want to change the world. You talking about you want to do something big. You talking about you want to have, love of your life, all this type of stuff, blah, blah, blah. You want to have heaven on earth? That's what you're talking about? Oh, I promise you this. I promise you this. I don't know everything, but I do know it has something to do with being obedient. Woo! That I know. That I know right there. That I know. I know it has something to do with being obedient. I know this. I know that I know that I know, as sure as my name is Romacio, I know that it has something to do with being obedient, because that sends a message to God that you trust him. And therefore, when he knows you trust him, woo, he chooses you. He uses you. All right, hey, listen, man, look, whether you're smiling, whether you got a frown on your face, whatever it is, I want you to know I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm no better than you. You're no better than me. And thank you for listening in, and I really hope and pray that you will join me in these 2 requests. Send this message to 5 people. That's it. That's it. And number 2, let's go on a 7-day obedience journey together. Let's just try the best we can. We make mistakes, we get back up, we try again. We make mistakes, we get back up, we try again. It's God judges us by the heart of man, not the deeds, not the mistakes, but by our hearts. Hey, I love you guys. I'm the California Kid. This was an excellent call. Please join me in those 2 requests that I asked for, and I'll see you guys all next week. Goodbye, everybody.